So this is the Zoom meeting for the Conservation Commission on Monday, April 27th, 2020, beginning at, well, I've lost my time here. Something happened to our arrangement here.
6:32.
Yeah, but we got a spontaneous rearrangement of my screen.
Are you just looking at the virtual meeting best practices?
Yes, and
Okay.
but I've lost my I've lost anybody's hands up or not. So
Oh, that's okay.
you might need to prompt me on that.
Yep.
So we're going to begin by starting with this special notice because we all do have to be remote, and that is beginning now, which is pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order superseding certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Subchapter 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Norton Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the end of the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on the Norton Cable website, that's https www.nortonmediacenter.org, or an audio or visual recording transcript and other comprehensive recording of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Okay. And
So,
then there's one more right on the screen for you, Julian. It's slightly different about public hearings, but town council recommends that we read this one into the record as well.
so this is under public meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order superseding certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This public meeting of the Norton Conservation Commission is being conducted by remote participation. I thought I just read this, but
It's slightly different.
all right. No in-person attendance at meetings of the public will be permitted, but the public can listen to view this public hearing/meeting while in progress by logging into Zoom conference meeting listed at the end of the posted agenda. Members of the public attending this public hearing/meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by raising their hand virtually or pressing *9 if participating by phone. All right, so our next step is to open the hearing on the notice of intent 250-1056, I presume?
Yes.
All right, and that hearing is for Christine DeFazio, 57 Richardson Avenue, referring to map 14, parcel 112. The proposed project is to repair and replace the existing septic system within 100 foot of bordering vegetated wetland. The application is available on, and I assume that's posted on our agenda, is that correct? All right. So there actually is a file number, which came through 250-1056. And do we have a participating applicant or representative of the applicant?
It doesn't look like he's on. It should be Bill Gottwald.
Okay.
And I don't see Bill signed in or,
But we do have some information that we can potentially put on the screen. Is that correct? We have some.
well, we would need to wait for Bill. I
Okay.
did email him today asking where his presentation was, and he said he would be calling in from Florida. So I would suggest we put him on hold for the moment and move on to the next public hearing, and then when he signs on, we can take him up.
Jennifer, has the legal notice been paid yet?
I don't believe so.
All right. So do we need a motion to move this item?
No.
Can you hear me now?
We need to move along.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there is somebody.
Yeah, this is Bill Gottwald. It says
Oh, Bill.
It says Donna's iPad. Sorry,
Okay.
my wife's iPad I'm on, so that's why.
Okay. So
Okay.
Bill is here.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can. So you are the representative for this project, I understand.
Yes, sir.
And can you give us a summary of the work to be proposed?
Surely, it's apparently she's selling her house. Her septic system failed the Title V inspection, so we're putting a new system in. And when the house was built, the plumbing was under. It's a raised ranch, was under the basement, and the leaching area is on the side of the house. So in order to make it work, we're coming out the side, the same spot, putting a tank in, a pump chamber, and pumping it to the front of the house for the leaching facility. The wetlands is, her backyard is fenced in, pretty much the fence line, and the inside is lawn and somewhat maintained. The back side of the fence is definitely vegetated wetlands. So that's what's on the plan. The
Sorry.
field is as far away as it can be. I think it's about 90 feet off the wetlands. The tanks are about 55 feet.
Okay.
It's as far away as I could get it.
Jen, are you able to open that?
Yeah, is it not open?
Well,
No, the issue we had last time, you got to go through it twice. So right now, we just
Gotta do it twice. Okay.
we just saw the list of items in your folder.
Okay. Well, then you didn't see me draw on it.
No, you did not.
So I see the pictures. It looks like both the front and the back.
Yeah, we still not seeing it, Jen. We're still seeing the
Okay.
We're seeing the whole collection.
documents in your folder.
Still don't have it?
No. Remember was it two weeks ago? We did the dry run. It took twice for some reason.
And Jennifer, if you open up the document first, this is Brian Dunn. If you open up the document first on your computer
They are all open.
and then go to share screen, when you share the screen, pick which document you want to share.
Everything's open right now, Brian.
So you're on screen too?
Okay.
We're gonna just try again for a second.
Okay.
As while I'm recording.
Jen, I can try to open mine as well.
Yeah, do you want to? Oh, you know what? I need to make you the co-host first.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have everything for tonight open. I don't know why it's not showing, but you now have control too, Lisa.
Okay, so now I can share my screen.
Yep.
Let's see. Can you see that?
We're just looking at your email.
Yeah, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
So we're running in. We're running into the same thing because I have it open.
Yeah.
If you were to go to your email and click that file.
Oh, no, I have them all saved to my desktop. I didn't have to go through this.
Yeah, but what we're seeing is your email portfolio there.
Is it interesting? Anything good? All right, let me.
That's your whole email. Your whole
There you
email.
go.
Can you see
click
that?
one. See
All
what-
right. So that's
Well,
weird.
we
You can
still see your email.
I think you have to stop sharing your screen and then start it again. I don't know though.
Let's try that. Now let me open it and then what? And then try sharing screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is it?
It worked a little better last time.
Did that work?
Oh, there you go.
There it is.
There we go.
All righty.
If you, yeah,
Very good.
very nice. Thank you, Lisa.
Hey, sure thing. All right, I'm just trying to zoom in a little. So it looks like the wetland is
So-
along the fence. I don't want to steal your thunder. Along the back of the fence. And then it comes to here. The existing system is here. It's going to be, the leaching fields are going to be replaced in the front. Siltation control here. Okay.
So, so if I can just comment, the wetland is off to the right, off to the left as we see it on the plan.
It's- Well, this is the only thing that says BBW. Then there's a note that says it's coincidental with the back of the fence, I assume is back here.
But
Yes,
then
it
I
is,
see
yes.
these-
Yeah.
But I see these two lines here, 50-foot buffer and 100-foot buffer. What do those refer to?
So they're measuring from the fence. I don't know why the 50 foot, but they did a 50 foot. So the 100 foot
Well,
from
can you
the
hear me?
BBW. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, the 50 foot, I put the 50 foot on every town. Some towns want 50 foot, so I just showed 50 foot. So just so you know where we're at. So 50 foot, the 100 foot, the leaching, everything is within the 100 foot. The leaching field is about 90 feet off the wetlands.
And it's
The
right there.
tanks are about 55.
So this is the buffer, 100 foot buffer from the fence.
Yeah, it's a fence. It's you know, it
Yep.
could be in further, but you know, over the years they've maintained it, so it is the
Oh.
fence, in my opinion.
All right, now I see it. I was misinterpreting the lines pointing to where the buffer is. Okay, I got it. So this appears to be uncomplicated in that you have the house in between the project and the wetland. The slope of the land appears to be very minimal. My first response is that siltation controls are not really needed here. Is that what anybody else is thinking or not?
No, they should have sediment controls.
And oh, I see. That's it's installed there.
Yeah, it comes here.
Yeah, I just showing a silt sock along from the stone wall on the side to the back of the house. I mean, the actual work is probably going to be less than a week, but at least it will be there in case any rainstorms come up or anything. But
All
Well, in
right.
case they have to stockpile any material that they excavate, so.
there's in this particular case, there should be no stockpiling because they got to take it out. They got to replace some of the stuff in the front with sand. So they're just going to put it in trucks, take it away back and forth. So,
Mhm.
but you're right. It's there in case, you know, there will be a little piling from when they put the tanks in. So,
So Jennifer,
right.
do we need to see the photos of the site or anything? Are we all
Sure,
set?
you could put those up. Yeah.
If I knew how, wait a minute.
You stop share first.
Oh, do I have to do that every time? Really?
Yeah.
That's annoying. Okay.
Do you want me to try it?
Uh, Hold on. So, wait a minute, where did that picture go? Oops, that's not it.
Go.
Giving away company secrets. Is that, there we go.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the front yard. You can see kind of where we did the test pit there, and that's,
okay, and then I assume this is the back, along the back,
Correct.
going this way.
Correct.
yeah, that's right. And I said everything behind it was wet.
Okay. Two, Jen?
Correct. Only two pictures.
Okay.
So the only thing we'd want to point out on that last picture is the small pile of leaves right behind the fence.
Oh, right here.
Just make sure, we'd have to make sure that the homeowners aren't adding anything to it or extending any further, right? They're right at the very edge of the wetland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I need to ask if there are any members of the commission that have specific question. Dan Doyle, any questions?
I do not know.
And Ron?
No questions.
And I see Gene there. Any questions?
No, not at this time.
All right, and Dan Pearson?
No, no questions.
And Lisa, I'm assuming you don't have any further questions.
All set.
All right, so is this, we do have a number. It seems to be not terribly complicated. Is this something we can consider closing at this time?
Well, we haven't asked if there are any butters with questions.
Oh, yes. All right. Do we need to unmute for that?
Well, they could raise their hand. So if you roll the mouse down to the bottom, the toolbar will pop up. And if you click Manage Participants, there should be a blue hand or a raise hand button if you have a question.
Yeah. Right now, I see no questions on our list of participants. So,
But this is a new project, and in case there were any problems with anybody accessing the virtual meeting, we've told everyone that all projects would just be continued for 2 more weeks, just in case there were any comments. They could come in through our regular email. But at the next meeting, we'd be ready to close with a draft set of conditions. So there's no
all right. So I assume
time
that
lost.
the representative of the applicant is okay then with a continuation with that, with the idea that we potentially can close at the next meeting?
Yeah, that's what it has to be, I guess you said, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and it's not likely to delay things at all because assuming there will be no questions, we will close and likely have an order of conditions at
Okay.
that time that we can vote on.
Okay, fine, thank you.
So I need to have a motion for a continuation of this hearing until, I guess it's 5/11, is that correct?
Correct.
I'll make the motion to continue the public hearing for file number 250-1056 to the May 11th. public hearing.
Second.
Lisa makes a motion and Dan Doyle seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
And
Motion
Bill, just
carried.
if the legal notice hasn't been paid, please make sure we get that so we can issue at the next meeting.
Yes, I'll send you, I just have to send you confirmation that it's paid, right? So,
Okay, yep.
no problem.
All right, it looks like we're moving on to Wheaton
right, thank you.
College for
Thanks.
42 Howard Street.
Yes.
And there's a note here. That apparently we didn't have any issues from abutters and that we're okay to close then?
Correct. At the last meeting, like what just happened, we had finished our discussion. We didn't have any other questions, but we held off for 2 weeks to make sure there weren't any issues with the butters accessing the files or any of the information. And so there are no additional comments or questions and nothing from abutters in the last 2 weeks, so you can close the public hearing.
So we can entertain a motion for file number 250-155 to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made by Ron and seconded by Dan Doyle. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Julian, if you would do a roll call vote for that, please.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. Just when we're ready to issue, we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, and now we have, the next item is for notice of intent, file number 250-1054, which is for New England Power Company. And where do we stand with this now? Maybe you could.
Allison is here, and I unmuted her, so she's ready to speak. And then Lisa, if you're able to put up that set of plans or their meeting presentation, that would be helpful.
All right, Allison.
Good evening. This is Allison from BSC representing New England Power. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Oh, it looks like she's giving me control. Is that how you,
Yeah.
or?
No, you.
Okay.
I gave
No?
you ability to share your to show your video yourself, and
Oh.
Lisa is controlling the.
I just put it back up.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so
Allison, if you just want to direct me, if you want to go to a certain plan, just let me know.
Sure. I had a PowerPoint presentation, so did you want me to just read that or?
Is it anything different than what's already on the?
Yes.
Isn't it on the in the packet? No.
No, Lisa. It was in today's email for everybody.
Oh,
So I might have renamed it National Grid right in the beginning, and then whatever Allison had it listed as.
It might also say something weird because I noticed there's like a demon with my Adobe, and it might say something like ABC Design.
is it today's date? New England Power refurbishment project?
That's the correct project, yes.
Okay. Okay, that's it. All right, hold on. I think I got it. If I can find it. There it is.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
How do
Okay.
I get rid of this? Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, commission members of Norton. My name's Allison Millman. I'm here representing New England Power from BSC Group. The purpose of today's presentation is to introduce the project to you again, because we did notify some additional butters since our last meeting. So I'll give you the complete rundown at this time. The project is within an existing transmission line right-of-way in the town of Norton. NEP is proposing replacement of existing transmission line structures. Those are the poles. Some access road improvements within the transmission line right-of-way, and work area setup that requires mowing and minor grading at some locations. And then at the completion, installation of overhead equipment, restringing the conductors and the overhead hardware on the poles. So this is an overview of the project as it goes through your town in Norton. I provided a USGS locus map on the left, and on the right is a Google Earth image that just shows the clear transmission line right away and where it enters into your town boundaries and crosses from basically north to south direction. Here I've just provided a screenshot just to demonstrate what the existing transmission line right away looks like as it crosses through your town. This is a shot of the transmission line right away from Harvey Street. And here's some pictures of the recent work that was being performed on this transmission line and for section 1 of the project. So the project is being constructed from a north to south fashion. So this is pictures from section 1 where they installed the matting you can see here in the wetlands. They're doing overhead work with cranes, replacing the poles and stringing wires. And then on the right, just pictures of, what it looks like after they replace a structure. And, how there's some minor grading at the base and then the restored and seeded and mulched areas around the base of the structures.
Allison, while we're on this one, I have a quick question. Are these those concrete footings or piers?
Yes, so there are certain structures that are required to be installed on the larger concrete foundations. Those are like the dead end structures. They need to support more strain, overhead strain. And then there's also the angle structures. When we get to the plan set, I can point out where those are in your town.
Okay. I was just wondering, are those I assume those come precast?
Nope, they will be, they need to pour on site. Yep. So that's
Okay.
part of the reason why we have some, access road improvements. They may need to refresh the stone entrances because they'll need to get concrete trucks in there to pour those.
Okay. Jennifer, we have a condition for that?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
So project activities proposed within the following resource areas that are regulated by the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Northland Wetlands Protection Policies. We have work occurring in bordering vegetated wetlands, 100-foot buffer zone to BVW, 200-foot riverfront area, bordering land subject to flooding, and the local 20-foot no disturb zone. The project activities are expected to commence in summer 2020, pending receipt of all necessary permits and approvals. We've gone out and reflagged the wetlands on the project right away. The first activity after we receive our permit will be vegetation management. That will be mowing overgrown access routes and around the base of the poles to allow for construction access. And then after that, we'll install the sediment controls, the perimeter sediment controls as shown on the project plans. They'll install construction mats where needed for access through wetlands. They'll do any necessary grading or road refreshment and any necessary spot grading around the base of structures to make a safe, stable platform for the construction equipment. They'll complete the construction activities, remove all the matting, restore the right-of-way to pre-existing conditions to the extent practicable. We do have some road improvements, so some of the areas, the roads are going to be refreshed a little bit wider, and that's shown on your plans. But all the other areas that are temporarily disturbed will be restored. And then after we achieve our 75% vegetative cover, we'll request to remove our sediment controls from the site. This project qualifies under limited project status under the Wetlands Protection Act regulations because it does allow for construction, reconstruction, operation, and maintenance of overhead public utilities, provided there are no alternatives, and that best available measures are used to minimize adverse effects during construction, and that the areas are restored to the maximum practical extent.
Okay, and I'll just add that it's a limited project because they can't meet performance standards of no alteration of a wetland within an area of critical environmental concern. And then that was the section that allows them to go forward with that.
The project is needed basically because the transmission system was largely constructed from the 1930s to the 70s. So we're dealing with aging infrastructure. The 345 kV transmission system integrates the region's power supply resources with load centers. Ground line asset conditions inspections and the aerial inspections that they complete on a regular basis over the past 10 years have identified deteriorated wood poles on this right of way. So they need to maintain the infrastructure and do the system improvements to mitigate any potential risks to the public from electrical failure and to provide reliable delivery of electrical service. There are also some locations where there was some audible noise issues. So these upgrades will fix those, and therefore no longer some of the butters won't be hearing that buzz or that hum that sometimes you hear when you're working near the transmission lines. Lastly, they'll be doing upgrades to the optical ground wire. This is an overhead circuit that provides high-speed communications between substations. So if there are ever any emergency situations or outages, it allows them to respond to those quicker. So our Wetlands Protection Act Form 3 disclosed our permanent and temporary impacts to those areas regulated under the Wetlands Protection Act. I'll get into these in a little more in detail, but we do have permanent impacts to bordering vegetated wetlands associated with some increased footprints for certain transmission line structures. We have one structure replacement in bordering land subject to flooding, which will result in 1.6 cubic feet of flood storage lost, which we will be mitigating or replicating in kind. 9,781 square feet of temporary impact to isolated land subject to flooding that's associated with the installation of temporary swamp mats. And then 157,356 square feet of impacts to riverfront areas associated with access road improvements and work pad grading.
That's actually the total riverfront area on the whole site. That's not what you're actually altering. The alteration,
Oh, right.
3,000.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me.
Sure.
So we have unavoidable permanent impacts proposed to 6 wetlands because they're associated with the replacement of existing structures that are already located within those resource areas. And there's one structure that they're proposing to replace with the larger concrete foundations. That was the photo that we were discussing earlier. So in total, this results in 481 square feet of permanent impact, which we are proposing to replicate the right-of-way. And then throughout the transmission line right-of-way, we do have temporary impacts associated with the construction matting that's put down in order to gain access to the existing structures. After the project is complete, they'll pull those mats out and we will monitor and document in situ mitigation. Since the matting does get placed directly on top of the existing vegetation, typically just regrows from the existing root balls and seed stock.
What's the period of time that you, do you go back once or twice or seasonally to make sure that grows back?
We will continue to go back until it achieves a 75% vegetative cover or to pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
And that, yeah, and if we need to, if we're seeing after one growing season that there are, for some reason, some issues, maybe if the mats were put down like during the growing season and things didn't come back as fast as we would like, we would amend with a wetland seed mix.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So we have one structure replacement in bordering land subject to flooding, which will result in about 1.6 cubic feet of floodplain fill. Although it could be considered de minimis, we are proposing BLSF replication of 1.6 cubic feet, the same elevations as where it will be filled. Therefore, the project will not result in a reduction of flood storage capacity. And then as we discussed the much lower number, 3,172 square feet of impacts in riverfront area associated with structure replacements and access road improvements. In the 100-foot buffer zone, approximately 28,447 square feet of disturbance proposed associated with the structure replacements, access road improvements, and some minor graded areas for work setup. And work setup areas, they will be restored and vegetated after the project is complete. So although the project meets the criteria to be considered a limited project, the project has been designed to meet all applicable performance standards for each affected resource area. The proposed project will implement BMPs to ensure the adjacent resource areas are adequately protected, impacts to the surrounding area are reduced, minimized, and restored to the maximum practical extent. So we're proposing one-to-one wetland replication for permanent impacts to BVW, therefore no net loss. One-to-one flood storage capacity replication. All work within NHESP priority and estimated habitat will conform to the existing operation and maintenance plan. There are certain project activities associated with this entire project that will require a conservation and management plan, which we are reviewing with NHESP staff at this time. All the work within these areas are already occupied by existing transmission line structures, so therefore it does not result in new disturbance to otherwise undisturbed portions of the riverfront area. In fact, structure 190, which is located within the riverfront area associated with Goose Branch, will be moved further away from the bank of Goose Branch. We are not proposing any significant change in grade or impervious surfaces in riverfront area. And the area of proposed work is less than 10% of the overall RFA on the transmission right away. To reiterate, we commit to installing sediment controls as shown on your project plans. Erosion controls will be installed, such as blankets if deemed necessary. Install stabilized construction access to prevent off-tracking onto the public roadways. We adhere to strict vehicle refueling and maintenance requirements, so all those activities need to happen at least 100 feet from wetland and bank, and on top of impervious surfaces or at their laydown yard if possible. That's where we prefer for those activities to happen. So I think we discussed at the last hearing, there was a question about refueling some of the larger equipment, like the drill rigs and the cranes. They will be staged on the matting in the wetlands, and so those can't really be moved easily to allow for any refueling. And in those circumstances, we use secondary containment, such as a kiddie pool, plastic tarps, things like that, to make sure there are no drips or leaks during refueling activities. The mowing activities will occur in place. No brush or chipping debris will be moved around the right-of-way. This will limit the spread of potential invasive species. All materials that will be stockpiled on site will be encircled with straw bales or other proper BMPs when they're within 100 feet of a wetland. We have dewatering BMPs that will be adhered to. No dewatering discharge will be discharged directly into the wetlands. We will find a vegetated area and set up a basin if they do need to dewater while doing the construction drilling activities. And we also have concrete washout BMPs. Their need to use like an outpack or an impervious container staged outside of the wetlands in a spot that can be easily accessed by the concrete trucks. And then after the water is evaporated, they're required to remove the concrete waste from the project right away. Okay, thank you. Lisa, do you mind going to the plan set that you originally had the first time? Thank you. Now we could do a page turn of the project plans, similar to what we did last time. I think I'd like to point out, as Jennifer recommended, where we addressed comments from the commission during the original page turn. So the first comment was that the floodplain was not shown on the plans. So the floodplain layer was added to the legend, and that's shown on pages 6, 7, 9, and 10.
All right, let's see what it looks like. Oh, okay. I assume it's right here, the blue shading.
Yes.
Okay, good.
It's a static legend, yeah, but that's where it applies to the maps, those pages.
Okay.
On page 5, we added the call out for the square footage of the wetland replication area.
Oops. Okay.
On page 7, we corrected the call out for access off the right of way from Harvey Street. It originally said Harvest Street
Oh,
on the lower right hand.
oh, okay, right there.
And then we also added a perimeter sediment controls on the upper left side of the page to address the potential access route along the southern edge of the right of way where it passes 3 isolated wetlands.
Oh, is this the red?
It's up a little bit farther from your hand. That area, yes.
Okay.
And Allison, this is the spot where we're spanning the stream, right? Do we want to talk about the closed system here?
Yes, I understood that there was a request
here?
that we make sure that our matting is a closed system so that we don't have any sediment falling into the water courses. I asked police if we could just put that in the order of conditions.
Okay, so it'll just say the matting will be a closed system? Is that what we're writing down?
Let's see, there was some good language. I have your notes here.
Is that up in here, Jen?
Nope, go down a little bit. Keep going a little bit more. And then, yep, keep going to the right. There's the red line.
Oh, this.
Yeah,
Right here?
right there. Yep.
Okay. Stream span? Hey, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I
So
think
in that location, can you use, I know that they have some of the heavy duty plastic ones that there's no gap at all, as opposed to the wooden ones.
I've had these conversations with the transmission line system contractors. I think sometimes they're not strong enough to handle the larger, like the big cranes and the concrete trucks. I think the concrete trucks are really, really heavy. The timber mats can hold up those equipment, and also sometimes they say the plastic mats they get very slippery, and they have concerns with that as well. But they can fit the mats together pretty tightly. And another thing we could do is if they need to do like a double layer, we can ask them to put the fabric in between as a catch-all. The filter fabric. I don't know if you're
Probably
familiar.
just staple some fabric to the underside of it.
Yep, we could do that too. Stapling, that would work.
So Jennifer, do you want a deliverable on that, or we'll just condition it?
I just want to make sure I'm wording it correctly so that we are conditioning that way. How would you staple it to the underside? You just flip it over and then flip it back?
Yeah, they use. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I mean, I can picture it.
Yeah, they use the large. I don't know. They use like it's almost like a logging truck, and it has like a big grapple arm, and they pick up each mat, and so they're able to, maneuver that pretty well. They'd be able to turn it upside down and do that. Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
That's what that completes the comments on the mapping. I didn't know if there was interest in going through page by page again, or.
I think we just you did provide an email answer to the abutters question from the last meeting that asked about the creosote. So maybe go over that just so it's in the public record.
Certainly. So here's the question was. Will soil samples be done by the polls for contamination? It was stated that the soil and groundwater, if sampling is usually handled by another firm, but I will look into what NEP's protocols are for soil management around the polls. And the abutter asked how far the creosote leaches into the surrounding dirt. So I received feedback from NEP that wood pole preservative options are available to utilities in the marketplace. All of these preservatives are regulated pesticides, which are registered by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Each of these treatment choices have specific benefits. However, New England Power continues to use pentachlorophenol treated poles. They've been using them for over 30 years. The EPA expressly authorizes the use of penta for the treatment of utility poles. Penta-treated poles are designed for this purpose and approved for this use by the EPA. Penta is currently registered as a heavy-duty wood preservative. The EPA has recognized that while all wood preservatives generally adhere to the wood, leaching of the preservative to the surrounding environment can occur in minute quantities. Preservatives that do leave the wood tend to stay very close to the wood pole and in the same area where a new pole would replace the previous one. According to the most recent EPA review in general, the EPA has determined the compounds contribute benefits to society. Similarly, the Stockholm Convention Committee determined pentachlorophenol can continue to be produced and used as an industrial wood preservative for the treatment of utility poles and crossarms. These authorities agree that penta-treated poles are safe when normal precautions are followed. NEP wanted to remind the commission and the abutters that their crews continue to work with wood poles throughout the service area, and their employees share the same neighborhoods with all of their customers that are served by these poles.
So was the question, I'm sorry, I understood it was about the creosote, but was it about existing poles leaching the creosote, or was it about new poles? I think I might have missed that.
The way I understood his question, he just wanted to know if when they're moving soil around, that if the soil was contaminated, would it be pushed around somewhere else on the site and spread further? I think that
But it was relative to creosote leaching out of probably existing poles if they no longer use creosote, right?
yeah.
Okay. So I guess the question really is if is creosote considered a contaminant, and if it is, do they have to dispose of it? I guess that would be my follow-up question.
Okay, I can ask for clarification. This is the language that I reached out, and this is the language that they gave me to provide to the commission.
Yep. Okay.
So the question is, how is pentachlorophenol different from creosote?
Well,
Or is it the same product?
well, no, I thought his question was relative to if you have creosote. So let's assume that just the existing poles have creosote, right? Because you just told us the new ones don't. I thought his question was relative to if there's creosote that's leaching from the poles into the ground, how is that material handled? And so then the follow-up question would be, is it considered a pollutant of concern, and do you have to take any special measures to handle that material, or no? I think that's something we can just condition for the record.
Yep.
But if I could just add to that I'm not aware that creosote has been declared a material that can no longer be used. There's so many structures, including wooden railroad ties are
Yep.
all over the country. So I haven't been aware that there's any identification of this as a hazardous material that can no longer be used. Is anyone else aware of that?
Nope.
Okay. Is that a butter still? They didn't participate tonight, did they?
I don't see. I don't really see any abutters except for Peter and Norton Media Center
Okay.
on the call. So
You see in a brother?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we think they answered the question, I think we're all set then.
yes.
Okay.
All right, so I guess the question is, do any of the commission members have any specific questions?
Nope.
No,
No.
I'm recusing myself.
Dan Doyle, you had a question or not?
I'm recusing myself.
Oh, you're okay. All right. So is there any further information that we need other than We have to allow 2 weeks for other people to review the meeting and perhaps submit questions.
I don't have any other questions.
So while we don't have any further information to be presented, we can continue this and then presumably close and issue the orders at our next meeting.
Correct.
All right, so I assume the applicant is agreeable to a continuation to, I think it's May 11th?
Correct.
Yeah,
And for
I
Julian,
understand.
That's only for the opportunity for the public to comment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
May I ask, please, that if there are no additional comments from the public, that we could issue the order at that hearing?
I think that's the plan. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
that's what we intend to do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I can entertain a motion to continue this hearing until May 11th.
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have competing, so we'll say made by Ron, seconded by Lisa. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you all. Have a nice evening. Take care.
Bye, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming in, or wherever you are.
All right, so our next item on the agenda is for Scott and Joan Strumo, file number 250-1052. And this has been continued multiple times. It's a proposed project for 2 triplex units and 5 single-family units on South Worcester Street. Do we have a representative of the applicant?
Yes, you do. My name is Brian Dunn with MBL Land Development and Permitting. I'm a principal. And I think Tracy is also on the phone.
Yep, I'm Tracy Dewar. I'm a civil engineer with MBL Land Development.
All right, so where did we stand on new information to be presented?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we haven't submitted any new material as of yet, but I wanted to get on the call tonight and update you and Jennifer, as well as the members of the commission, on where we are with John Cheshire and his review. We've got a review letter from him. We've been out doing additional soil testing for the drainage design that we've proposed, and we're in the process of relocating the drainage basin to a better place on the site where better material is. We've got some preliminary testing that was requested by John Cheshire for us to do. We did that, and tomorrow we're going back out there once again to have him witness the same area of the basin, as well as a few other places around the site, so that we can confidently update the drawings and the drainage report and resubmit that information to you for review and ultimately approval. I think that we're in a very good place right now in regards to the data that we've received and the updated drainage design that we've started to prepare. If you'd like, we could share that with you and show it to you now so you can see the direction we're going in with the plan, or I can wait till we finalize the plans and submit them, and then you can take a look at them first.
Probably makes more sense to finish the soil testing, finalize the plans, and submit that to us so we can review it.
Yes, I agree, Jennifer. I think that we're going to find the same data that we found out there before in the areas of the basin. This is just a cross the T and dot the I's with John Cheshire, so that he understood what direction we were going in and how the drainage was being redone. So tomorrow is just him really witnessing what we already know.
Tracy, do you have any comments?
No, I don't have anything additional for that.
Any questions from any members of the commission?
No.
No?
No.
No.
All right, well, I don't know if we have any other participants in the meeting that have questions? I think Peter is there, but I don't know if anybody else.
I don't see any hands raised.
I agree. All right, so we can consider then a motion for continuation. May 11th is acceptable.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
All right, motion made by Ron. I didn't catch the second. Who was that?
Pearson.
Okay, we have dueling Dan, so it'll be Dan Doyle who seconded. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, the motion carries, and we'll see you on the 11th.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
All right. We also have I notice intent, file number 250-1040 for Michael Trowbridge.
We don't need to do anything with that.
Oh, that's still a continuation then?
Yep, we just keep it on the agenda so people know that it's there and that it continued to some point 45 days from the end of the state of emergency. It's just on the agenda as a placeholder, just so people know that it's still being continued.
All right. So our next item would be the request for a partial or full certificate of compliance. Is that correct?
Correct.
So that's file number 250-570.
Correct.
And it's been a decade, hey?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all set for a full. It was the sewer hookup that went all the way around Winnicott.
All right, so it's probably.
That motion.
And did I hear a motion to issue?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to issue a full COC for file 50-570.
All right. Motion by Lisa and seconded by
Pearson.
Pearson, Dan Pearson. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
And then-
opposed. Motion carries.
Since we're doing electronic signatures, just so it's in the record, we should do a roll call vote for whatever we issue.
All right, so first item, Ron, you are voting yes,
Yes.
and Lisa is yes.
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Dan Pearson,
Yes.
and Dan Doyle,
Yes.
and I too will vote yes.
Okay, thank you.
We have request for a full certificate of compliance for file number 250-555, Tamara Chisholm, 9 Pond Street. So how is, the project was never started.
Correct. This was for an addition on the side of the house, but they never actually did the project.
So, okay, so I'm just a little, so we have to give them a paper saying they're in compliance then?
You do, it's been recorded at the Registry of Deeds, so for a sale or refinance, they do need to have that document closed out. So you give them a certificate of compliance and there's a box for that that says project was never started.
All right, so I'll look for a motion.
Yes.
So moved.
Ron makes a motion. Is that seconded by Dan Doyle?
Second.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and once again, we're going to do a roll call vote. Ron
Yes.
and Lisa,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Dan Pearson,
Yes.
and Doyle,
Yes.
and myself as a yes.
Thank you.
We have draft minutes from 4/13, 2020, which were sent to us, or at least was sent to me in printed form. I assume everybody's had a chance to review it in detail.
I don't know if we're gonna have a quorum without Scott, will we?
Oh, wait a minute. Ron, Jean, Dan Pearson, yeah.
Oh, okay, yep, okay.
Quorum. So of those 4 participating then, anybody have any questions, additions, revisions? So I see
No.
Dan Pearson saying
No.
no.
I didn't want to make an issue of the comma in the 5th line up on page 2,
You will, anyway.
but I will anyway, if you want me to. Wheaton requested to look at that separately, comma, and not as part of this project. I don't think I would have the comma there, but I don't think it's necessarily anything to panic about.
So you want to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion that we accept these lovely minutes.
Seconded by?
I'll
Second.
second.
All right, so I think Ron got you, beat you by a millisecond there. So motion made by Dan Pearson, seconded by Ron. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We accept the minutes of 4:13. And then we have any new business to speak of?
We just have a number of new violations because everybody is home from work and doing lots and lots of yard work. Yeah. So I'll just note that South Worcester Street, map 27, parcel 193, they are going to be applying for a permit for work that was done. 184 West Main Street, new information was submitted today for the restoration plan, so we'll be reviewing that and looking over it after Monday.
Okay.
That's it.
And then any items of old business we need to bring up here? And are there any items to ratify from last meeting? All right. Anybody else want to make any relevant comments? I see Peter might want to ask a question. He didn't raise his hand though, yes?
He's also muted.
Oh, hi everybody!
Hi, Peter.
How are you, Peter?
Hi, Peter.
And I checked out the historic aerial on the New England Power Company. I checked out the historic aerial site, and the line in the western part of the town was constructed between 1958 and 1965 time frame.
Wow.
So it sounds
wonder
like
why it needs to be replaced.
it sounds like it needs a little work, so that's good.
That's right.
All right. Well, if there are
Jennifer,
no,
just one second. Do you want comments on the draft order for New England Power, or are we gonna wait?
If you have comments and you want to email them individually, sure. Then they'll be revised and sent out with the next agenda. Oh, we do need to do Wheaton's before we close.
oh, yes. Okay. So,
Is that in the package?
I had to email it today.
Oh, shoot. I didn't get
Yeah,
that.
sorry.
um,
It's basically a boilerplate. Except for a bunch of the findings, but it's basically a boilerplate.
so was that in the,
Oh, it was the last document.
Yeah, in today's email.
yeah, we should be able to bring it up on the screen, shouldn't we? Yeah,
Yeah, I can do it.
yes, okay.
Okay.
I think it's this one, right?
Yes.
So, any questions? We can roll through it.
Number 6 was about the stormwater management bylaw, and then we just gave waivers for the items that they requested.
Okay.
Yep.
So these are all the only unique orders. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You have special conditions, right?
Yeah, check the sketch.
Commas?
Oh, sorry. No.
Oh, look, Dan, look. I see an errand period right here.
Oh, my goodness.
Damn.
All right, hold on.
Remove that space, please, or else I will materialize and remove it for you.
Okay.
You're still looking like something out of,
Phantom of the Opera?
no,
Star Trek?
Ghostbusters.
Okay, I'm moving on here.
Yeah, keep going. I mean, everything is a boilerplate. I'm not seeing anything yet.
Oh, I see an extra space here. Come on, get with the program.
That could be my
Oh.
line justification.
I can only, oh my goodness. There, that's for Julian. How's that?
Much better. Much
Okay.
better. All
Okay,
right.
so we have perpetuity. Okay. Well, considering that I can't enact the Mullins, somebody else is going to have to. I'm going to, because I haven't looked at the file.
Whoever's ringing, if you could mute for a moment, that would be awesome. And Lisa, if you want to stop sharing, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so I think we're ready to consider, I mean, I didn't hear any suggestions for changes in the draft minutes, so we can consider a motion.
So moved.
For the order, yep.
Yes, you're right, the order's a condition.
Yeah.
All right, motion made by Ron and seconded by
I'll second.
Dan Pearson. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, actually, we have to go through our
Roll call.
Roll call.
Ron is a yes,
Yes.
and then Lisa.
I have to abstain because I was not participating in the last.
Okay.
Hearing.
Gene
Yes.
and Dan Pearson,
Yes.
Dan Doyle,
Yes.
and then I'll throw in a yes as well.
Okay.
So we're all set with that. And that was the last item.
Correct.
All right, and then I think you wanted corrections on the, or any potential modifications on the one remaining one on New England Power, yes?
Yeah, if you have anything, just remember to send it individually. Do not reply all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we're in a position to consider a motion to adjourn. Do we have to do a roll call on that too?
No, just when you're voting, because you voted for electronic signatures, and I need to make sure that I know exactly who's voting. So roll call is the easiest way to do that.
Oh, Jen, that reminds me, I did have a question.
Yeah.
I scanned my signature in. Do you have any use for that or? Okay.
Well, I mean, we could all make lots of use of your scanned signature, Dan, but we're not going to do that. We don't have to do it that way.
It's actually a much improvement. You now look like an astronaut doing a spacewalk.
Yeah, the only problem is this background makes my cheeks look fat.
All right,
They are.
like a vain astronaut doing a spacewalk.
Like a vein ass. Okay. All right.
All right, so we can consider a motion to adjourn.
Yes, please.
Motion made by Ron and seconded by
Second.
Second.
Dan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.